Daniel did not sleep the night after. He lay on his back in the dark of his apartment and stared at the ceiling and replayed the moment on her doorstep. The brief, almost unconscious touch of her hand against his, until it became something he could hold. A small, careful thing. Something to set beside all the other small, careful things he had collected across 3 years of loving a woman who woke up every morning having forgotten he existed. She had asked if they had met before. That was new. That had never happened before. He turned onto his side and looked at the window, at the pale wash of city light coming through the curtains, and he allowed himself, just for a moment, just in the private dark where no one could witness the fragility of it, to feel something close to hope. Then he pressed it back down. Hope had a way of making the mornings unbearable. He told himself he would not go back. He told himself this every year, and every year his feet carried him back to Linden Street Café regardless, as though his body had simply decided to stop consulting him on the matter. But this time it was different. This time it was not the 14th of October. This time it was the 15th, the morning after, and he had no ritual to hide behind, no annual date to blame. He went anyway. He arrived at 9:30. The cafe was quiet, filling slowly with the unhurried energy of a Friday morning. A man reading a newspaper by the door, 2 young women sharing a pastry and laughing about something on a phone screen. The barista, a tall boy named Kofi, who had worked here for as long as Daniel had been coming, wiping down the counter with the peaceful efficiency of someone who had made peace with his mornings. Amara was not there. Daniel ordered a coffee. Sat at the corner table, her table, though she did not know it was her table, though she chose it every single time. He wrapped both hands around the mug and watched the door, and told himself he was not waiting. He was absolutely waiting. She walked in at 10 minutes past 10, slightly breathless, a canvas bag hanging from one shoulder. Her hair pulled up in a way that looked accidental, but landed beautifully. She was wearing a yellow cardigan he had not seen before, and something about the color of it, warm and unexpected against the gray October morning outside, made something in his chest do a slow, helpless thing. She scanned the cafe for a free table. Her eyes landed on him. She paused, just for a breath, and then she smiled. Not the polite smile of a stranger, but something warmer, slightly surprised, the smile of someone unexpectedly finding a thing they had been quietly thinking about. "You," she said simply, crossing the cafe toward him. "I was thinking about you this morning." Daniel felt the floor shift slightly beneath him. "Good thoughts, I hope," he managed. "Strange ones," she said honestly, setting her bag down and sliding into the seat across from him as though she had always sat there. "I kept thinking about what you said, that we had never met. I kept thinking, why does that feel like the wrong answer?" He said nothing. Outside, a bus rumbled past, and the cafe windows shivered faintly in their frames. They stayed for 3 hours. It happened the way it always happened. Quickly, completely. With the disorienting ease of 2 people who had somehow skipped the part where strangers are careful with each other. By the second hour, she was leaning forward with her elbows on the table, telling him about the recurring dream she had been having for years. A coastline she had never visited. A particular quality of light over water. A voice she could never quite make out, but that always felt familiar. She described it with the slightly embarrassed honesty of someone sharing something they do not entirely understand. "I know it sounds like nothing," she said, A dream is just a dream. Not always, Daniel said. She looked at him. That searching look again. The one that was new this year. The one that turned something over in his chest every time she aimed it at him. Tell me something true about yourself, she said suddenly. Something you do not usually say out loud. He was quiet for a moment. The café moved softly around them. I have been in love with someone for a very long time, he said carefully. Someone who does not remember me. And I have never been able to explain it, or stop it, or find a single good reason to walk away from it. The words landed quietly between them. He watched her face process them. The slight furrow of her brow, the stillness that moved across her expression. That sounds like it hurts, she said softly. Every single day, he said. And he almost smiled. She was quiet for a moment. Then, very gently, she said, "Why do you stay?" He looked at her amber eyes, at the careful concern in them, at the way the morning light from the window touched the side of her face. And the answer was so enormous and so impossible to say that it sat in his throat like a stone. Because some things are worth staying for, he said finally, even when they are difficult, even when they make no sense. Amara looked at him for a long moment. Something passed across her face that he could not name. I think I understand that, she said quietly. And the way she said it, like she was not just agreeing with him, but recognizing something. Something in herself, made the back of his eyes burn, in a way he absolutely refused to let become anything. It was on the walk back. She was heading to the small bookshop 3 streets over, and he had offered to walk with her without thinking, without strategy, simply because every step away from her felt like a small, unnecessary loss. That she said it. They were halfway down the street, their shoulders close but not touching. The October air pulling gently at her hair, when she slowed her pace slightly and said, without looking at him, "I trust you." He looked at her. "I know that is a strange thing to say," she continued, her voice quiet and slightly puzzled, like she was working something out as she spoke. "I have known you for less than 2 days. I do not trust people easily. I never have." She paused. "But I trust you. I do not know what to do with that." Daniel looked straight ahead. The street stretched in front of them, ordinary and unhurried. A woman pushed a pram past a flower stall. A boy on a bicycle swerved around a puddle. The whole ordinary world going about its ordinary business, completely indifferent to the fact that his heart was currently in the process of breaking and mending simultaneously. "Maybe some people are just safe," he said. "From the beginning. Maybe you just know." She glanced at him sideways. "Do you believe that?" "Yes," he said, without hesitation. Because he had believed it for 3 years. Because she had proven it to him 3 separate times without knowing she was doing it. She smiled at the pavement, small and private. The kind of smile that is not for anyone else. He memorized it. He memorized everything. He always did, because he knew, with the resigned certainty of long practice, that the memory would only belong to him. At the bookshop, she lingered in the doorway and turned to him with that expression, the searching one, the new one, and said, "Will I see you again?" Not politely, not casually. She asked it the way people ask questions whose answers actually matter to them, her eyes steady on his face, waiting. Daniel felt the weight of 3 years press quietly against his ribs. Every year he had told himself it was the last time. Every year he had come back, and now she was standing in a bookshop doorway, asking him to come back again. And the terrible, wonderful, heartbreaking truth was that he had never needed to be asked. He had never needed anything except her. Just her presence. Just the hours she gave him without knowing she was giving them. "Yes," he said. She nodded, satisfied. "Good," she said simply, and went inside. He stood outside the bookshop for a long moment, his hands in his pockets, looking at the door she had disappeared through. Through the glass, he could see her, moving slowly between the shelves, her yellow cardigan bright against the dark spines of books, her fingers trailing lightly along the edges as she walked. He watched her the way you watch something you are not sure how much longer you will have. He went home the long way, not because he was lost. He knew these streets the way you know things that have held you through difficult seasons, but because he needed the walk. He needed the cold air and the movement, and the slow rhythm of his own footsteps to process what had just happened, what kept happening, what refused year after year to resolve itself into something he could simply accept and move on from. He passed a florist closing up for the evening, the owner pulling metal shutters across buckets of chrysanthemums and late roses. He passed a chip shop spilling warm yellow light and the smell of vinegar onto the pavement. He passed a young couple sitting on a low wall sharing headphones, the boy saying something that made the girl tip her head back and laugh with her whole body. He watched them for just a moment as he passed, not with envy exactly, with something softer than that, something that understood. He had had that once. For 4 hours, 3 years ago, he had had exactly that. The easy, complete joy of being with someone who made the world feel correctly arranged. And then it had been taken from him in the most bewildering way imaginable. Not by argument, not by distance, not by the ordinary cruelties that end most love stories, but by something he still did not have a name for, something that lived in Amara quietly and cyclically, and that she herself seemed to have no awareness of. He turned up his collar against the wind and kept walking. The question that had been sitting at the back of his mind all day was growing louder now, in the quiet of the evening street. He had spent 3 years not asking it, had deliberately kept it at the edges of his thinking, because some part of him understood that asking it would require answers he was not sure he could bear. But today had been different. Today she had come back without knowing why. Today she had trusted him in the instinctive, unguarded way of someone whose body remembered what her mind had released. And now the question would not stay quiet any longer. What had happened to her? Not what was happening now. The forgetting. The annual reset. The way she returned to him like a tide to a specific shore. But what had happened before? What had fractured something in her so precisely, so completely, that her memory had learned to let go on a schedule? Because Daniel did not believe, had never believed, not for a single moment across 3 careful years, that what Amara experienced was random. It was too deliberate, too exact. The same date every year, the same emotional rhythm, the same pull back toward him, even as her mind wiped the record clean. Something had done this to her. Something had broken her relationship with memory in a way that had calcified into pattern. And he was afraid, genuinely, bone-deep afraid, that if he ever found out what it was, the tenderness he felt toward her would shatter him completely. That evening, sitting at his kitchen table with a bowl of food he was not eating, Daniel opened the small notebook he had kept for 3 years. It was worn at the corners now, the spine soft from handling. He had begun it the 2nd year, after the 2nd forgetting, because he had needed somewhere to put everything she didn't remember. He turned to a fresh page, wrote the date, then sat for a long time with the pen in his hand, thinking about what she had said on the street. "I trust you." He thought about the way she had said it, not with the bright carelessness of someone paying a compliment, but with the slightly startled honesty of someone who had discovered something they did not expect. Like she had reached into herself looking for one thing and found another entirely. He thought about what it meant that she kept returning to the same café on the same date, year after year, without knowing why. He thought about the dream she had described, the coastline, the particular light, the voice she recognized but couldn't place. He thought about all the things her mind had let go of, and all the things, inexplicably, stubbornly, her heart seemed determined to keep. And he wrote, in the careful handwriting he used only in this notebook, "She does not remember me, but something in her keeps moving toward me. I do not know what that means. I am afraid to find out. I am more afraid not to." He closed the notebook, pressed his palm flat against the cover for a moment, the way you might hold something you are grateful for. Then he got up, washed his bowl, turned off the kitchen light. On the street below his window, the city moved through its ordinary evening. Somewhere a dog barked twice and went quiet. A couple walked past arguing in low, tired voices. The October wind pushed a handful of leaves across the pavement in a small, brief rush. Daniel stood at the window for a while, looking out at none of it. He was thinking about a yellow cardigan, about a smile aimed at the pavement, about the way she had said good, just that single word, warm and decided, and Egon inside. He was thinking about the fact that she had fallen in love with him 3 times now, quickly, fully, without resistance. The way some people fall, as though love is not a choice they make, but a country they are simply from. And he was thinking about the question he had never let himself ask out loud, the question that lived at the very bottom of everything, underneath the hope and the grief and the 3 years of faithful, unexplained returning. If her mind kept forgetting him, why did her heart keep finding him? He pressed his forehead lightly against the cold glass of the window. Outside, the city continued its indifferent business. Cars, streetlights, the distant bark of someone's name called from an open door. All of it utterly ordinary. All of it completely unaware that in this small apartment above an unremarkable street, a man was quietly coming undone over a woman who would wake up tomorrow and not know his name. He had never told anyone about Amara. Not his brother. Not the few friends who occasionally asked why he was still single. Not the therapist he had seen briefly 2 years ago after the 2nd forgetting had left him raw in a way he hadn't expected. He had sat across from that careful, well-meaning woman and described a generalized loneliness, a difficulty connecting, a habit of loving people at a distance. All of it true, none of it the truth. Because how do you explain this? What words exist for a love that resets like a season, that finds its way back to you without understanding why, that sits in someone's chest like a compass, pointing at a place they have never consciously been? He did not have those words. He had only the notebook, and the 14th of October, and the particular quality of Amara's silence, and the way she had touched his hand on her doorstep the night before. Briefly, unconsciously, the way you reach for something that belongs to you. He did not have an answer. He was not sure he was ready for one, but for the first time in 3 years he was beginning to feel that one was coming. "Why does my heart trust you so quickly?"